Let's do this, Zargo. It's Holden. You can call me Kush. You can call me whatever you want. It doesn't matter. We got JC Zargo here. Zargo, how many units are you up this year? Because you're up. Like, it's amazing how good our bettors are. Welcome into Nuke the House. How many units are you up? Because we track all our plays.
I believe I'm up 30 on the year. So that's bleeding. I'm just NFL and NHL, so a lot of that's bleeding over from the end of the hockey season. But man, with hockey coming back up, I don't see any reason I won't be up around 50 by the time year end.
Yeah, you're a really good hockey bettor. So I'm looking forward to the NHL season. But we got the NFL season, football day in America here at Nuke the House. Check us out at nukethehouse.com. Our free trial is going away very soon. So make sure you sign up for that. Go to nukethehouse.com. Click subscribe on any package. We won't charge you, but use the code NUKENFL, NUKENFL, and we're going to take care of you with a 1-week free trial. Also want to let you know tonight at 10 after 8 o'clock Eastern time, we will be live betting the Saints and the Chiefs in Kansas City. So Zargo, let's get into this, buddy. We got a good game tonight. I really do think it is a good game. Yeah, the Saints have kind of come back down to earth, but these dogs of 5.5 points or more have just been covering at a ridiculous rate. So right now, the line is Kansas City minus 5.5, of course. The total between, it just dropped to 42.5 on FanDuel. Interesting. It's been 43.5, 43. 42.5 if you want to bet the over at FanDuel minus 20. And then if you want to bet the under, you can still find a 43.5 out there. JC, I already bet the under a couple of days ago. I like the under in this game. I'm an underdog, an under better. Dogs of 5.5 or more points are 19-4-1 against the spread with 13 outright wins, Zargo. Cards and Giants did it Sunday. Before we get into the actual game, do you take any credence out of that to apply it tonight, or is it just a different game?
No, it's absolutely something. I've been preaching it since about, week 3. Is each season has almost like a vibe, and different trends that stay throughout the whole season. I mean, last year, favorites, no matter how big the spread was, they were covering it. This season, it's the underdogs, man. Every game, every slate, you got to look, you got to identify, not just the underdogs that can cover, but you're going to have to find the ones that can win outright. So anytime I look at a game and I'm liking the favorite, I really think twice about it, really analyze the numbers, because I know the underdogs are very dangerous this season.
Yeah, 5.5 is just a weird number too.
It is.
Like, you'd love to get the 6, you'd love to get the 7 more than anything else, but you're getting 5.5. It's just weird in the line settling there. And again, I think a lot of people are jumping on the Saints because of it. But let's dig a little bit deeper into it. Also, if you want to drop a comment, shout out to everybody watching right now. It's good to have you on board. Get the likes going, smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Nuke the House, turn on your notifications, and that'll be just fine. We're getting close to 2,000. We're very close to 2,000 subscribers. All right, let me go get the notes here with this game, okay? We've got the Chiefs defensive line coming off a spectacular week 4, and they're facing an offensive line that's completely decimated, which gives me a little pause, backing anything with the Saints. Think about this. Center Shane Lemieux, Dunsky. They had to pick up Connor McGovern off the Jets practice squad and plug him into the offensive line. And then Lucas Patrick might be out too. So 3 backups on this New Orleans offensive line. That's not good. The Saints are also hurting on the defensive side. Willie Gay, the former Chief linebacker, he's out. Sewell is on IR. He's out. You've got a coverage linebacker in Pete Werner, who could be out tonight. That's a big injury because Kelsey could go off if that's the case. Break it down for me. What's the side? What is the total? And what are your thoughts on tonight's game, Zargo?
Yeah. I mean, let's consider, like we talked about, injuries are a huge part as always. And you kind of, start looking at the defenses, right? And looking at the numbers, these teams have equivalent defenses, but looks can be deceiving. Kansas City, 11th worst pass defense in the league, allowing 227 yards a game. New Orleans right there behind them, 233. They got the 9th worst. Look at the run defense. KC has the best rush defense in the league, allowing about 100 yards a game. New Orleans right there as well, 97 yards a game. So when you're just looking at rankings, these teams have terrible pass defenses, great rush defenses. But what I like to look at, digging a little bit deeper, is who have they played? New Orleans has only had to face Carolina, Dallas, Philly, and Atlanta. Those are 4 fairly weak teams, as opposed to Kansas City, who's had to play Baltimore, Cincinnati, Atlanta, and a tough divisional opponent in the LA Chargers. So, looking at that, I kind of give the nod to Kansas City. However, those run defenses, 2 big things to consider. Number one, we don't really know who's going for Kansas City tonight, given their injuries. They just signed Hunt. It looks like he's going to start. You never really know what you're going to get from a guy. It's not a new system to him because he's played here before. He hasn't played much, so you don't know if he's going to be rusty or if he's going to come in and just light things up. Alvin Kamara, he's been extremely strong for the Saints. He's the reason this team really has any wins, in my opinion. When you take away Kamara, this team would probably be bottom of the league. So you got to look at him and see how the Chiefs are going to just target him. They're going to make Derek Carr go to the air because they're not going to let Kamara beat them. They're able to shut down Derrick Henry, so they're going to try and run the same thing here against Kamara. A lot to consider for sure, but when I look at those numbers, my instant lean goes to Kansas City, but there's a lot more we got to talk about and look at before, placing that bet.
All right, so you want to talk more about it, or you want to move on?
We can go deeper into it and looking at props, but
I
that's
think
kind of my overview.
Yeah, I think we should, because Monday Night Football, big betting spot for everybody here at Nuke the House. And again, the live show, we just murdered it last night. I won 5 units just climbing ladders with Dak Prescott and Kevontae Turpin. It's amazing how great Keg is, and he'll be back tonight. He couldn't make the show today, so we got a great replacement in Zargo here. Shout out to -150 is not me. He had a $10,000 night, and he's not even a big bettor. Like, he just tailed everything, hit the Caleb Williams at 11-1 that Coop gave out yesterday. I hit that too. Carlos likes Jones over half a sack and a Kelsey anytime touchdown. So are you parlaying those, Carlos? How are you going with that? Drop your best bets in here right now. Don't forget to pound the like button. Couple of bets I want to talk to you about. First of all, so Kareem Hunt's carries number was 10.5 early this morning. Jets up to 11.5 with some heavy juice, and now it's sitting at 12.5 carries, right around mildly plus money. I can look it up, but what do you think of Kareem Hunt getting 12 carries tonight?
It seems like a lot to ask for a guy who hasn't played a meaningful football game in quite a while.
He had it last week, though. Like, you don't think they're going to run him out there because Steele was not productive and Piron's just not doing anything?
They might be forced to, right? But I don't know. I just, coming into this team, what's hard is the fact that he's played here, right? If he's just a brand new running back who's brand new to the Kansas City Chiefs, you say there's no way. But he does know the system, so I think that's why that number is flying up. So I completely understand it. I don't begrudge anyone who's going to bet it, but for me, I just have a hard time expecting a new guy to get that much share, especially considering how strong New Orleans run defense is.
Interesting line movement on this, Zargo. Sorry to cut you off, but again, this morning at 7 a.m., it was at BetMGM, 10.5 carries, -145. So you don't like the juice there. Moves up to 11.5. The juice gets as high as -130, gets to 12.5 at +105. All of a sudden, about 2 hours ago, money starts coming in on the under then, once it hit 12.5. So they push it back down to 11.5 -120. So the money's coming in and betting the under. Most of the time when you see money coming in betting an under on a prop, I feel like it's a sharper better, because regular bettors casual bettors don't like betting that. They don't like betting under. So I think that's an interesting one. I think Derek Carr, I don't want to give away a pick or anything. I just wonder which side of the number you'd be on at 209.5 for passing yards. Again, that offensive line for the Saints is absolutely murdered right now. It is a debacle. 3 of the 5 offensive linemen are backup. So what do you think of Carr? And then maybe you can get into a couple of your own bets.
Yeah, one last thing I want to say on Hunt is just like I understand that he's clearly comfortable in this system. My other just big concern is if they can't get the run game going, they're going to be forced to go to the air.
Yeah.
And if this game turns into a shootout, I just don't think he's going to have the opportunities. They're not going to get a major league or anything, major lead to kind of make this an easy cash. And I just think there are better spots to target here, and that's the biggest reason I'm staying off of that. As for Carr, yeah, I mean, he's playing impressive football this year. And again, given Kansas City defense, we know they're going to be forced to go to the air. To keep up with a team like Kansas City, most of the time you're going to have to outplay Mahomes, which is not an easy thing to do. But if Kamara is held back like I think he's going to be, if they can contain him, they're going to have no choice. And while I do think this is going to be a competitive game, I do not anticipate a Kansas City blowout. Derek Carr is going to have to throw the heck out of the ball, which could make for some nice, easy bets. Would
you pull the trigger on an over or under 209.5?
Man, I do lean over. I was looking at those numbers. It was my big play that kind of correlates to this is I do think Kamara's under hit, which if that happens and they want to stay competitive, like I said, if they're going to count on Derek Carr and his passing yards, just had it, apologies. He had 239 against Atlanta, 243 against Dallas, 200 against Carolina. So I think that number's right in line with where it should be. And on a Monday night game, knowing what he's going up against, I think there's a real good chance he goes over that marker.
Hey, Zargo, then there's Kamara. Now, were you thinking about the rush yards, which are set at 65.5, or the rush attempts at 16.5, or all of it?
Number one, just yards, right? Because you never know how long they're just going to keep trying to give him the ball and hope he breaks loose. So with a guy like him, you're not really going to give up on the run game. So that's why I don't really want to touch attempts, but it's those yards. I don't think he's going to hit the 67 yards he needs. Receptions might be a way to look at it so that they can get him involved, but not through the backfield. So, over 12.5 yards, over 2.5 receptions, that is certainly appealing, but give me the under on his rushing yards.
All right, so Iowa's throwing a free bet out there. What the hell's going on, Zargo? You got people coming in there trying to knock your place down? That's all right, buddy. Don't worry about it. One ladder for me, Iowa says. Watson receptions, 345 at 155, 400, and 950. So he's a sharp dude. Very sharp dude, Iowa is. He's on Justin Watson. Here's an interesting line. This is coming out of left field, dude. So if you don't have an opinion, that's fine. Jamal Williams over 4.5 yards at minus 104. So again, you got to look at whether or not he's going to be heavily involved or even mildly involved. So here's the carries for him. Week 1, 11. Week 2, 8. He was basically taken out of the game in Philly, had 1 rush, and then 3 carries against Atlanta last week. So this is an interesting spot here. Can Jamal get to 5 yards? It's not a bet anybody's talking about, but that's not a big number, JC. The question is he involved?
For sure. I don't hate that. That's one of those ones that you might be able to just cash early and it's like, sweet, I got a winning bet in my pocket. Because and those numbers, when you start scrolling through the rushing props, stuff like that pops up because you're like, man, that's 1 carry, you know, 1 carry, he breaks loose and that's easy money. So I certainly don't hate it, but I certainly don't have a deep opinion on it. I'll throw another weird prop at you though that I kind of like tonight. Derek Carr over 2.5 rushing yards.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like I said, I think, Kansas City's, they know he's going to throw the ball. So I think with the coverage, they're going to run on him. He's going to have some opportunities to scramble. And while he certainly isn't the fastest quarterback, come on. The man can break free for 3 yards.
Hey, by the way, I totally screwed up. It was 4.5 carries, 14.5 yards. 4.5 yards would have been an auto bet. 14.5 is a little bit more.
I thought you started that bit by
I just said it wrong.
Attempts, and then you finished with yards. That's fine. I'm less interested in that because again, if
Yeah.
if they can't even move with Kamara, why are they going to trust someone else to try and
No,
run?
great point there. It was 4.5 yards an auto bet. It was 4.5 carries, 14.5 yards. What up, Card Addict? Card Addict is winning some money too. Great to see you in here. What's up, Zargo?
This probably isn't the question for you. It's probably more like a K question. Is New Orleans known to run like an option or anything? Because that would be another way you get that number.
With Carr?
Yeah. Well, no, not his rushing, but on Williams, right? It's kind of like if we run this play, everyone's going to be expecting Kamara to get the ball. Let's give it to Williams. Just thinking out loud here.
All right. Well, I think I've moved on from Williams now, so I'm not worrying about it. Iowa comes in, he goes, here's my ladder, and he leaves. He gets out of here. Wonderful. Okay, it's time for the spiel again, since it's a free show. Tonight, 8:10 Eastern, we will be live betting Monday Night Football. It is a free show for the first half and a private show for the second half. And if you missed last night, you missed out on Kevontae Turpin just crushing his number. Not the receptions, the yards. We got in on that. We had the Dak Prescott 300 plus yards. We crushed that one. So we're killing it. You're going to want to sign up. NukeTheHouse.com, $59.99 a month. Or you can sign up for a free week. I don't know why you do that, but we'll give you one free week at Nuke NFL, NUKE NFL. Yeah, Card Addict. It's not just the center, though. Again, 3 of the 5 starting offensive linemen are out. If you had a best bet, what would it be?
Me?
Yeah, you.
It's actually one we didn't mention. We're just giving out all kinds of plays.
Yeah.
I like Mahomes over 17.5 rushing yards. So, again, expecting them to have to cover that deep ball, expect them to cover the middle, and so Kelsey doesn't get any easy catches. He put up 29 against Cincinnati, exactly 17 against Atlanta, 12 against the Chargers. I just think there's going to be ample opportunity here. So, like both quarterbacks rushing prop, but I probably like Mahomes is just a little bit more.
Yeah, that line's bet up to 18.5 at FanDuel, and then everywhere else we're seeing 19.5, 20.5. So that
MGM and Bet365 have 17.5.
Still?
Yes.
Okay. I'm looking at it right now. Is it on there? They take it down. I got to go look at that.
Okay, it's possible. I use covers, and they just give every book's odds. So, if it's moved in the past, I don't know how up to the second.
I'm not going to fight with you about it, but I'm just going to unabated is what I absolutely love unabated.
I'll go up to 20 plus. Just
you think 20 plus is in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. They took it down. They took it down at BetMGM. So they might be looking at that in a different way.
I'm not sweating a yard or two there. So again, as long as we're over 19.5, I'm comfortable with.
Yeah. Carlos is looking at Olave rushing at 9-1 if he gets a carry tonight and picks up a yard. Whew. I asked people to drop their bets in. That's kind of sexy at 9-1. He had one game with one carry.
We're all about big plus money at Nuke the House.
Yeah, we are about. That's how you beat him. That's how you beat him, man. Okay, let's move on. I got a trivia question for everybody out there. Don't look it up. I don't think Zargo's getting this because
you're a bit of a hater. You thought I looked up last week's too.
I would have never gotten this. Garrett Wilson had 22 targets yesterday. Name the last player to get 22 targets in a game.
Wow.
Last player to get 22 targets in a game. Now, Cooper Kupp had 21 earlier this year, but I'll throw out a hint in a few minutes.
It's not Kelsey, is it?
It is not Kelsey, no.
Okay.
The last player to get 22 or more targets in a game.
Okay. Was it a Miami Dolphin?
Nope. It was not.
It was that crazy game against your Broncos.
No. Nope. And Carlos, it was not Puka. It was not Brandon Marshall. It was not Megatron. I'll give you the first hint, and then we're going to get into some other games. But the hint is 2015.
Okay.
2000.
Now, is it the type of receiver we'd expect that would get 22
That's all
targets?
I'm giving you is 2015, buddy. That's all I can give you. Last time any player had 22 targets in a game. But we got other stuff to talk about here, okay? Let's start with Thursday Night Football because usually we recap things, but I want to look forward to Thursday Night Football. We got San Francisco at Seattle. The Seahawks allowed 175 rushing yards. Their defense is a complete debacle. Zargo, this is not a good scene for the Seahawks defense right now. The Giants were 30th in the NFL at just 85 per game. Then you've got Niners, the Niners are in a little bit of trouble too. They're 0-2 in the NFC West. They're 0-3 against NFC opponents. Again, I don't want to overreact because we're early in the year. And last year when Trent Williams went out, they lost all 3 games. But this is just a bad scene right now for the Niners. And they're laying 3 on the road with a total of 47.5 in Seattle. Man, the Seahawks rush defense is awful. Jordan Mason is going absolutely bananas. He has 536 rushing yards so far through 5 games. And guess what? That is the most of any running back in Niners history. Jordan Mason, 536. CMC last year, 510. Charlie Garner, what a net blast from the past. What a name. 500 yards in 2000. So Seattle has a problem stopping the run. San Francisco hasn't looked great, though. They scored 23 in the first half. They couldn't score in the second half. Any thoughts on Thursday night football? Because this one, 2 struggling teams.
Big time. I mean, when we, at the start of the season, if we said, hey, week 6 Thursday night football, would you believe that we'd be watching this game with the Seahawks in first place in that division and the 49ers in third?
Nope.
I mean, this is just crazy. It's really funny about 49ers game yesterday is I said I didn't bet the game because I go either the Niners are going to blow them out and win by 20 or Arizona's going to win outright. And sure enough, they did. San Francisco is now in a rather delicate position. They really can't afford another division loss. Knowing what this team is capable of, right? They go 2-4. I'm not saying they're going to miss the playoffs, but what's more detrimental would be that division loss. However, I think Seattle just kind of got a bit of a lucky break in their schedule. And if we look at how they played against the Giants and then how they played against Detroit, I think this is a really good bounce back spot for San Francisco. Early reactions haven't taken into the numbers, but just I don't think San Francisco can afford to lose this one. And how they, lost that game to Arizona, I just think they're due for a big win.
Yeah, I don't know which way this line's going to go, but I'll just say this. It was 3.5. It's down to 3. If this thing gets to 2.5, I'm pulling the trigger on the Niners. They have won 5 straight against the Seahawks. Tough matchup here for the Seahawks. You've got a great running game against the Seahawks defense, which has gone absolutely backwards. So if you ask me which way I'm going, I got to think that the Niners can cover the 3, but I want to see if we can get down to 2.5. I highly doubt it gets there, but 2.5 would be the magic number. Boom, auto bet.
I'm shocked. I didn't know it opened at 3.5. So that is crazy that people like Seattle.
Yeah. Okay. And then the total, I have no opinion on at this point. 47.5. It's a high total.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, I kind of lean over if it's a Sunday game, but again, man, those Thursday games, always got to think twice about. That's really high for a Thursday night.
All right, I'm going back to the trivia question. It is not Calvin Williams. A.J. Brown? Nope. 2015, A.J. Brown wasn't around. It happened in 2015, the last wide receiver to get 22 targets before Garrett Wilson did it earlier this year. DeAndre Hopkins? Nope.
Was it a Patriot?
It was not a Patriot, but it was a wide receiver in the AFC. Again, 2015. Think about who the best wide receivers were, the guys that absolutely ate up targets. And then we got it. Yep. You keep thinking, buddy. Jerry Stacks, both teams coming off bad losses. Motivation will be high. San Francisco rolls. Yeah. Again, I'm with you. And I lean toward the 3, but if it gets back to 3.5, I won't bet it. We might have to bet it at 3. Or, I mean, if you're a parlay guy, which I'm really not, maybe you just knock it down to the money line. And this is what we did last week, and it didn't work out. We had 49ers money line paired with the Seahawks money line, and it didn't pay off because these games have just been absolutely nuts. But if you wanted to do that, take that San Francisco money line, pair it up with a team that you like, and then that's that. Maybe the Packers at home against the Cardinals, the Texans on the road at the Patriots. I think that Commanders-Ravens game is going to be sick. Let's talk about that before we get into the weekend that was. So we got a healthy total here, 52.5 for the Commanders at the Ravens. It's a 1:00 game on Sunday. This will be the premier matchup for me. This thing opened at 53, went down to 52.5, 52, then back to 52.5. And that's where it's sitting at most books. Zargo, it's also an interesting spread here because it's a 6.5-point spread. The Ravens are 6.5-point favorites at home. And when you look at what the Commanders have done, they had 7 plays of 28 yards or more yesterday. This team is ridiculous offensively. Jaden Daniels leads the league in EPA, expected points added, 31 points per game, averaging 31 points on the season as the Commanders. They're insane. You've got the Ravens who have outrushed their opponents by 100 yards in every single game. So it's kind of a contrast in styles. The Ravens with their running game and this nasty passing attack from Washington. To me, 6.5 is a lot. If you wanted to back the Ravens, throw it in the teaser at this point.
For sure. I mean, shout out all the freeloaders out there because I had Washington minus 6.5 plus 180 in my Sunday article. So even those that just come view the shows and whatnot, there's free big money plays out there to be had. And it's really funny because I talked about my article. Kate talked about in the Week 5 preview. This young Washington team eventually is kind of going to meet their match and they're going to get embarrassed flat out at some point. And obviously wasn't going to happen against the Browns. I've been preaching all season about how horrid the Browns are, but this is a really interesting matchup. And I'm shocked that the spread is this high. And I don't know what to do with it because I do think this is Baltimore's game to lose. I do think they're a much better team. I mean, Baltimore is like Washington 2.0. Like the Ravens are what the Commanders hope to become. And so it's hard to think they can go toe to toe with them right now. Man, 6.5 is a lot of points. I might buy it on 52, but I don't know if I can lay 6.5.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I might have to lay 6.5. I don't know.
That's a lot. Okay, like button would be great. I'm going to give you another hint. Okay, for our trivia question, last player to get 22 targets in a game since Garrett Wilson did it yesterday out in London. So the player that did that before, he did it in 2015, and he's batshit crazy.
I got it. And I had it before you said that. It just crossed my mind. I was thinking about AFC monsters in 2015.
Who is it?
It's Mr. AB.
Antonio
Mr. CT
Brown.
ESPN.
Man, they're not going to put him in the Hall of Fame. This guy for like 6 seasons was as good, maybe the best receiver in the league. That 2015 season, he had 1,834 yards, 136 receptions. I mean, he was insane, man.
He was so good too that he made Mike Wallace look like a stud.
Oh, Juju Smith-Schuster. Later on in his career. Yeah, and
then we learned amazing. It's just that when you got your two best people double teaming AB, anyone can look like a superstar.
Yep, 100%.
And it doesn't hurt when you got Ben Roethlisberger throwing to you.
Nope, it doesn't. Hey, let's roll through these final 3 games that we're going to discuss, okay, from the weekend. These are 3 games that Zargo kind of highlighted. Let's start with Indy Jacksonville. Maybe not the sexiest game, but to me, Josh Downs, he is just going to eat a ton with Flacco. The problem is Richardson might be coming back, and my sense is that the Colts are going to look toward the future and give this kid a chance. The problem is he can't stay on the field. Jacksonville, everybody say, oh, they quit on Peterson. They may have after the 4th game, but the Colts haven't won there since my kids have been alive. My daughter's 9, my son's 6. It's 2014 the last time they won in Jacksonville. I love Jacksonville this week. They actually came through for us. What was your take out of this game?
For starters, Trevor Lawrence looked great. I mean, that was the biggest thing. Is there's been a lot of question marks about him, whether or not he's the guy. Is it the team? Is it him? Is he a bust? But, man, he looked good. He looked sharp. The biggest problem, though, about takeaways from this game is Indy and Jacksonville don't exactly have the best defenses, so it kind of gave both Flacco and Lawrence a chance to look great.
Yep.
But it definitely allows people to hold on to their hope for Jacksonville. They're not the walkover we thought maybe they were becoming. Spread a stare. I know that was his big concern of this one, is that he thought players were giving up on Peterson, but they were live. They were live for sure. And Indy, yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, Joe Flacco, a stud. Crazy he's still doing it at this age. And so that's a real tough decision. I mean, I think personally, I'd say you got to keep him in, right? Just let Richardson learn underneath him.
Not going to happen.
Flacco got a little more mobility than you'd expect from someone his age, so maybe there is some stuff he can pass down to him. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do, but I think you got to let for the people give us Joe Flacco.
33 of 44 for 359 and 3 touchdowns for Flacco. They were down big, so he hit Pearson Downs 42 and 45 second scoring drives when they were down by 14. Yeah. Absolutely amazing job by him. All right, next game you want to talk about, Baltimore, Cincinnati. Are the Bengals cooked? I mean, this happens every year, and we say, are the Bengals cooked? And usually they come back with Burrow, but at this point, that was a massive lead that they dropped. Defensively, they have massive holes. They did a good job on Derrick Henry until overtime, but Lamar was just too much. And on the other side, again, the Ravens are running the football. They outgaining their opponents by 100 yards a game on the ground. Like, it is tough to stop these guys. Mm-hmm. This, to me, said a little bit more about the Bengals than it did the Ravens, though. The Bengals can't blow that lead. This team's in a lot of trouble at 1-4.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's for starters, I say we give our flowers to the Ravens because that was still an impressive game and an impressive win. And I do believe after this week and last week, they have cemented themselves as the team to beat in the National Football League. I mean, they're number one contenders for the Super Bowl. Granted, I'm not rushing to place any futures because when your game is reliant on a running back and a mobile quarterback, those guys are susceptible to get injured at any second. So if they're healthy by the time playoff rolls around, I mean, I'll bet the bank on them to win the Super Bowl, but that's where it currently sits. As for Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals. Done.
I mean, yeah, I don't know how many times I've talked about it now this season that I just don't have faith in them. I didn't touch this game because I do know eventually they're going to come roaring back. And they did look good, right? They just ran into the best team in the league, a divisional opponent as well. So that always adds a complicated layer to games. Another reason I didn't want to bet it. The good news for the Bengals is they kind of got an easy schedule ahead of them and a chance to get right. I don't think they should have Super Bowl aspirations this season. But again, I mean, we've seen it 2 years ago. So, yeah, I mean, they get to go play the Giants, Cleveland, a Philly team that's in shambles, and they got the Raiders, and then they got the Ravens again. So, I mean, if they go 4-0 on that stretch, we're going to have a much different conversation. But as I've said to this point in the season, I don't plan on betting any Bengals games till I see consistently good play from the Bengals offense.
All right, so we got one more game that we're going to get to, and then we'll get out of here. We had an extensive breakdown of Monday Night Football if you missed that. So after the show's over, make sure you watch the beginning of that. Don't forget to smash the like button. That'd be wonderful. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Nuke the House. Again, yesterday, just winners all over the place. Our guy, minus 150, said he had his best day ever. We learned that he was a prisoner. He married a correctional officer, and he won $10,000 from tailing our bets yesterday. So lots going on with us. Great community as well. Sign up at nukethehouse.com, $59.99 per month. You can check us out for a week, Nuke NFL, Nuke NFL. All right, last one you want to talk about, Minnesota and the Jets. Minnesota at 5-0. Darnold wasn't great, but he was good enough. Aaron Jones got hurt again. Tyler Chandler's in there. Defensively, Minnesota just did a job on Aaron Rodgers. And I think more than anything else, Nathaniel Hackett's just an idiot. I saw him as the head coach here in Denver. He was the worst head coach I've ever seen. I mean, not many guys get fired halfway through their first season. He got canned. Rodgers is getting no direction. He's basically running the offense. He looks old. And Saleh has got to go as well. You know, this Jets team is in a lot of trouble. I said this yesterday. I don't even think Devontae Adams is going to help them at this point. They're in a lot of trouble, Zargo. Was this more about Minnesota, more about the Jets, or both of them?
I don't have that much to say about. I mean, Minnesota's defense won them this game.
Correct.
Darnold was embarrassing. You also got the London effect. Going overseas is never easy. It's a big reason I didn't bet this game. And the Jets, they just kind of jet because I don't even think Rodgers. Some drives he looked great, some he looked terrible, and even when he was having a good drive, Minnesota just shut him down. So I'm really impressed by what we saw from Brian Flores' defense, and I just, it's the Jets, and I don't see anything changing for them anytime soon. They're still going to continue to be favorites in spots where they shouldn't be. People are continue to believe in this team, and I just see the green of the Jets, and I just see green money because they're an easy team to make money off of.
Just to fade them, just straight up fade the Jets.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So they got the
I can't
Bills.
wait what the line's going to be the next time they play the Patriots.
Well, they got the Bills on, what is that, Monday Night Football? The Bills next week. The Bills right now are 2.5-point favorites on the road. The Bills offense has kind of gone incognito. 41.5 is the total. I think this has gotten betting up from a look-ahead line of 3 down to 2.5. I know it's next Monday night, but it's going to be tough not to back the Bills on the road, as bad as the Jets have been.
I mean, that's a joke of a line, too.
All right, best bet, Zargo, before you get out of here. Monday Night Football.
I gave out one at the end of that preview, so those people have that one, and then I'm just going to wrap it up with Derek Carr over 2.5 rushing yards.
Derek Carr over 2.5 rushing yards. You heard it here. My man Zargo backing Derek Carr's legs. Wonderful. Hey, Zargo, thanks so much for hanging out for Keg.
Thanks for having me.
Again, Keg will be back tonight, 8:10 Eastern time is our live broadcast. First half is free. Second half, halftime in the second half behind the paywall. So you might be missing out on a ton of winners like you did last night if you're not a subscriber. NukeTheHouse.com. Go sign up. Free week, Nuke NFL, or just get the month already. Just stick around at $59.99 and see how well you can do. I think you're going to do all right if you follow the formula. And we give real-time in-game betting notifications. So let's say you can't watch the game tonight. You get in our Discord, you put on your notifications right to your phone. You don't even got to watch the game. We will get you the bets that way. All right, I'm looking forward to tonight's show, Zargo. That should be a fun one. I'm going to say goodbye. You're going to say goodbye. Thanks for checking out Football Day in America, and let's nuke the house.
Nuke.